Hi,
Hi Udit, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. So, firstly, welcome to Mimi Meets.
Thank you so much.
How was your vacation, by the way?
It was amazing. Kashmir is amazing. I love it. It's like a second home to me.
Oh, nice. I love to start my conversations with this. What's the first film that made you fall in love with cinema?
Um, I, I mean, I've always been a fan of cinema. Everyone, like in India, have grown up watching cinema.
Hmm.
But mostly, by 18 years of age, I think 16 years of age, I had consumed just Indian cinema. But I think the change happened when my sister went to Delhi University. She to
Hmm.
study literature. And in the summer vacations when she used to come back, and I
Yeah.
think during that time I watched A Single Man by Tom Ford.
Yeah.
That film I watched, The Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, definite.
I I mean, when I watched these pictures, I also watched The Dark Knight. So these
Absolute favorite.
these films just absolutely changed my perspective because they moved me. They affected me in such a way that I thought this is now because I was not exposed to this kind of stuff, like, right.
Yeah.
So I think those films that I watched during that time, they changed my perspective on cinema totally.
Oh, lovely. Well, it's really funny. Like for me, when I was younger, I actually grew up watching Karan Arjun. So I similarly grew
Yeah.
up watching Indian cinema as much as I would have if I grew up in India. So I actually consumed a lot of Hindi cinema in my childhood as well. And then when you grow up, you kind of get into the sort of more world cinema or yeah. So yeah, I completely was resonating with everything that you said.
Because I think when you're growing older, even also during your adolescent years, you're experiencing so much of life. I mean, the relationships and all of that stuff, and you're exposed to life basically.
Yeah.
So I mean, watching that being presented on screen, you realize you get a sense that this is not shown. I mean, as young people, you used to think that why is this not shown in cinema? But then you
Mm.
suddenly see that, and you're like, no, there's just immense amount of stories and films out there that talk about almost everything.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how did your journey as an actor begin?
I wanted to be a cricketer basically.
Hmm.
And my father used to play cricket. I used to love cricket, but my studies were falling behind, so I somehow had to leave it, make a decision that I'll pursue this because we come from a middle class family, and like everything, you have to do something with your life, get money and everything. So after all those discussions and arguments, I thought that I'll just leave it.
Yeah.
So I basically turned towards studies, but then I realized that I mean I was good at it. I scored good numbers in 10th and 12th both, but it was not where my heart was.
Hmm.
So then my grandfather was used to teach in Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Kanpur,
Okay.
and my father wanted me to move in his footsteps and do something like that. And I thought, okay, I'll do it. But gradually, when the 12th was over, board exams were over, I thought that I don't want to do this. So I gave the papers, but I didn't go to any university. So at that time, my sister was already in Delhi University. So I just had to basically choose a subject, and I never studied economics, but it was a renowned subject.
Uh-huh.
So my father told me, if you want to do theater and everything, just want to do something else, take a lighter course, like a BA program or something, BCom
Hmm.
program. But I thought it was below my standards, so so, so I took economics instead.
Oh, okay.
I just studied it. I've just passed. So
Well, as Binny said, you needed a passion for IIT, which you didn't have.
exactly. I could relate to that role a lot.
That was, yeah, perfectly timed actually with this because I actually, yeah, I wanted to talk about Crash Course, and it's a beautiful way of coming to Crash Course now. So tell me about your experience as Binny Agarwal.
Binny, as I said, I think that there is a sort of I understood the character because I've been in Binny's shoes for quite a bit of time, some years actually. When I was after my graduation, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So when I came to Mumbai, I think I realized the kind of the society, how they want you to do something, the family pressures and everything. But so I've somehow knew Binny in a way.
Mm.
But I healed from all those things basically. But Binny didn't. Binny chose a track for himself that was quite different, and yeah, Binny was very personal. I would say
Mm.
very personal. Yeah.
Yeah, because even like yeah, even like when I talked to Mohit, he even said like Binny's a life coach. He's not a tutor, he's not a student, he's just a life coach. He's kind of been through everything and he's everywhere. Like you see him at Batra, you see him at Jindal's office, you see him literally. He doesn't really have like he's the only one who's not tied down to anyone.
Yes. Yes. I somehow relate to that personality because I'm also I can't work under someone. I've also chosen this field because I can't work under someone. I think you can't I can't do a desk job and take orders from someone.
Hmm.
So yeah, and Binny is quite. But the thing about Binny was very well written. Binny was very well written. He's a man of few words, and I mean it was a treat, a pleasure to play him.
Like there's so many layers to Binny. I thought that as well because he's not just like a stereotype where you think, oh, okay, he's going to be this type of guy. He's actually he moves on to become like you can't really like put him in a box. I
Yeah,
found Binny's literally like you can't really explain the type of person he is. He's just he
yeah.
is what
There
he
there is absolutely a mystery to him, and there is a past which I mean people can guess at. They can draw their own assumptions, but it's
I'd
pretty.
love to know about that past next season because that past looks really interesting. There's something about Rumi. There's something about when he was with Ashutosh back in college. So I'm really looking forward to that. Like if there's like a sort of flashback
Yeah,
um, episode or something, that would be really cool actually.
I love the best thing I think about Benny. What I love was his total arc in the end, where he there is redemption for him. He realizes the fact that what he has been doing more
Yeah.
than the first 8 episodes, he's just out there doing things. He's living a selfish life. You get a sense that he's alone and everything. But in the end, when
Mm.
Vidhi commits suicide, that's when it's like it hits him. And that, I mean, I loved that ninth and 10th episodes.
Same. That's those two. I think for Binny, for me, I was thinking, yeah, Binny, like he has that. Yeah, he it really hits him hard because that's his obviously his first cousin who's done this,
Yeah,
and he's probably thinking, yeah, actually, I might have caused this for other students in the past.
yeah,
This scenario, and so I completely understood that. Like that scene at the balcony when Antara gives you food after Vidhi
yeah.
does what she does, and then really see it hit him hard there when he's like, "Who's the one who's kind of turned it into a business? Is it me? Is it
Mm.
so many different people?"
True, true, true. I mean, yeah, and his going down as well, and being in that shallow space of grief and everything, and self hate, and uh, rising above that as well.
Yeah,
Trying to be better than changing. I think that I love these kind of characters who have this journey in them because I've also been these things affect you. They move you, and a lot of messages that I receive from people, they just because they loved Binny because of the swag and everything, but they really loved it more because of the transition that happened, and
same.
they have this great amount of empathy for this guy. I mean, this guy is not a bad guy, and it's amazing.
I honestly thought that as well. I was like, okay, because with AK sir, he's this kind of this like this sensible guy like throughout the season. But with Binny, he has that transition. You're right, like completely that graph.
Yes, I mean everyone in the story tries unintentionally and indirectly has somehow led to Vidhi's
Yeah.
suicide. But Binny was the most personal.
Mm.
Binny was personal for me. Yeah.
I think that this episode 9 and 10 really hit me hard as well because it just suddenly like you see and Vidhi's like the person I didn't even expect. Like I was expecting so many other people like Shania or Anil. I wasn't expecting Vidhi at all because she's like the topper and but then when you see that downfall that she has, I think that's, yeah, exactly. Everyone indirectly has a part to play in what's happened.
Yes, yes.
It really breaks my heart every time I think of that, like just what happens with Vivi. It's just really, really like, and that scene, oh my God, that scene, that whole sequence of her
Where
going,
this is playing in the background.
oh yeah, seriously, every time I watch that, it does something to me, like that whole sequence that she goes to school, the last day where she gets like the last bit of education in, and then she eats. Oh, it just really, really, really gets me still. Like, and yeah,
Now that I'm remembering it.
I know. I honestly, it was so memorable. Like even like I think that's the important thing about Crash Course. I found like there's so many stories, but each story I felt like I had a connection with, because like you know when there's so many stories, you would probably lose track of some of them. But actually with Crash Course, I found that I was following every single person's story. I was interested in like everyone's journey.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
it's through the writing and the direction. And so, how was it working with Vijay Moriarty?
I mean, I would genius would be a understatement for him. He's a genius,
Hmm.
and his style of working is also very intuitive and very in the moment.
Hmm.
And he's just. I mean, I've been on sets where you're always nervous about what's going to happen in the scene. You always enter the set with some kind of hesitation and nervousness. But this was the only set where I didn't feel any nervousness from the
Oh,
start. I mean, it was just I would enter with that, but it would just go away.
hmm.
His way of working is such, and he himself is an actor, so it gets yes, so it gets really easy. He can tell you those small bits and points, and add to that. Like you can improvise this or that, and he's very actor friendly. That's the best thing. I mean, he understands actors, gives them that space. I mean, I remember shooting for these. There was this whole scene after that terrace sequence, which was
Yeah.
even cut out from the show.
Hmm.
Uh, but there was this whole sequence we shot, and it was 4 in the morning. I remember we started at 4 in the morning. That
Hmm.
was the last scene we shot that day, and it was the first scene actually. We didn't shoot linearly, of course,
Yeah.
and so it was the first scene actually of the whatever has happened. We shot that, so it was a great leap. A lot of things had happened before that scene, so I really was in that. I really had to be in that state of mind, and I was just thinking that we should just go right, just so I was in that space where I was just going through all of that in my mind. And when I finally got there to shoot, he actually understood that an actor is trying to do something. He needs his space, and he ordered everyone just to be quiet, and you know don't make any noise inside. The actor is doing his job, let him do his job. So that kind of atmosphere really, really, really helps you.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, that's why, because he's an actor, he himself, he understands the actor needs to get into his own headspace and into the zone and not be distracted by anything else, just to kind of like prepare for the scene, basically.
Because there can be sets that are not actually actor friendly, that you might end up on a set that is not very actor friendly. There'll be hustle and bustle and everything, and I have to perform in that. So that really helps if you have that.
Yeah, I remember actually Mohit mentioned as well, like that's the whole sequence when obviously when all the kids find out about Vidhi, he was like
Hmm.
actually the production team and everyone said just leave them alone whilst they just kind of let it all out because they were all crying when they were filming that scene. And so I think even Mohit said that they gave us that time to just kind of process that entire scene when it was happening. So I understand completely the actor friendly. That's so vital actually, because that's what actually makes the performances so real. That's why
Yeah.
people are connecting with it. Like you're getting messages. I'm connecting with it all the way in London, and so that shows the importance of this show, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I remember at the funeral sequence, I entered. It was in my house only, Benny's house, and I entered, and it really felt like someone has died.
Yeah,
Everybody sitting in their white clothes and everything, and it was just quiet. I mean, that's the kind of atmosphere they create for the scene, and it's really helpful. It's really helpful.
I know, it was so scary. Like, and also when you see Jindal walk in and you're like, oh, why is Jindal here? Like, I'm literally upset at Jindal being at the funeral. And so, but Anu Kapoorji, I love, absolutely love Anu Kapoorji. I think he's one of the best actors, I think. And so, how was your experience working with Anuji?
I mean, I remember shooting my first. I mean, in a day only, we shot some. I met him on the day of the shoot only,
Mhm.
and it was starting days only, and we shot for like 3 scenes that day with him. And at the end of it, I was like, "Wow, I've worked with Anu Kapoor." I mean, I've grown up watching him in
Yeah.
everything. He has been my star. I mean, he's such a brilliant actor. So actually, getting to work with him, I mean, when you're in character, you're working on the set, it's like, okay, he's just another character, you're in that scene and everything. But when you go out, when you're finally done for the day, and you come into your own sense, you're like, oh wow, I've worked with Anu Kapoor. That's so awesome.
He does everything. He's like, he's so method. He goes like really far into his role. Like, he's so frightening. I found, like, as Jindal, he does anything like to kind of get his sort of rank numbers. And actually it was so refreshing for me to see, because I've never like experienced that sort of college life in India. So for me, it was really like refreshing to see, like, I learned so much actually watching Crash Course, because of like, so now I know about the quota. I had no idea of like this city, but I knew like roughly like there's a place in Rajasthan, but I didn't really know much about it. But then, so yeah, so thanks to Crash Course, I've learned so much of like the education system. And when you prep for a role, like, is there a certain method that you use? Like, is there like, how do you kind of prepare for your roles?
I mean, it's different for every part, I would say, but I think this script, I have been a student of Mr. KK Raina ji and Ila Arun ji,
Mhm.
uh, and I have just learned from them that it's this script, it's a text,
Mm.
and reading the text, whatever you get, I mean, when you audition for it, it's very instinctive. Like, you just play with whatever your instincts are telling you. But
Mm.
I think when you get the part, you're preparing for a role, it's I I just try to. I mean, I find it very easy to live the
Yeah,
part rather than act it. Acting is difficult,
just
but
be
if
there.
yeah, if you just believe that you're that guy, it unlocks everything, and it's a very, I think, very organic process for me.
Mm.
And I like to be in their shoes. I try to understand where they're coming from, and their past. I mean, everybody is who they are because of their past. So Binny for me was why he is like who he is,
Yeah.
and to I mean, it was not Binny. I mean, what was important for me was what kind of a person he has become, because I have been through this journey. I
Mm.
know his past and everything. I have faced the same situations in my household. In all of the discussions and arguments have happened with my sister, with myself. So I've experienced that, but I needed to know where he is now. You know, so he's in a space of where he has completely like achieved everything, whatever he wanted. You know, and he realized that he's good at his job. So yeah, I mean, and so that was very important, that what kind of a life he's living now.
Mm.
Because if I am able to show his arrogance and pride and ego in the initial bit, then what happens afterwards, then it makes more sense. That transition for him has to happen.
I've talked to other actors and they've all mentioned, yeah, just kind of be it, be the person. You don't actually
Yeah.
have to try anything, just kind of become that person. And that's how it works, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think every person, I mean, it's just the circumstances that make you who you are. I mean, I can be in your circumstances and I could be you. So you just have to understand where this person is coming from.
Yeah.
And I think all inside of us in the end, it comes from inside. And the more it comes from inside, then it's more truthful and lovely.
More organic as well. Like, you can,
Yes.
and so
Yeah.
I think that's, yeah, that's exactly. And I found that actually with in OTT, I've found like the actual performances are come across way more organic And I actually am enjoying. I'm proud to say that I love OTT, Indian OTT, way more than Indian films right now in cinemas. So I'm literally watching every single OTT show like out there, and I love it. So, what are your thoughts on OTT?
I mean, it's a blessing for all of us. It's a boon because see, the first thing is we come from theater. We have read good scripts. We have done good scripts. We have done
Yeah,
good roles. So it's always about the script at the end of the day. And with a film or an OTT, it's about the screenplay.
yeah,
So if it's good, you know. If it's bad, you know. If it's average, you know.
mm,
So with films, there is not much leeway. There is still traditional films. They're still following the traditional
yeah,
norms of making a movie, a masala movie, or this or that. And here and there, once in a while, some film is some. There are some directors who make
yeah,
good films also. But with OTT, it's been very good. I mean, you get to explore a character a lot. There is not time constraint. I
yeah,
mean, a character is fully formed, and his journey is very apparent. You're not missing the scenes. Basically, every scene is happening. It's not
mm,
like a jump. you
yeah.
know so I think I mean, I love it because it's an enriching experience, to be honest. It's 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 given us actors a lot of employment as well. It
Mm.
has increased opportunities for all of us. And it's all about what you want to consume in the end you know
Yeah. And I personally, I love it. Like, I mean, I grew up watching obviously Hindi cinema, and I love Hindi cinema, but like right now, Indian OTT is like just my favorite part of like watching like stuff that's coming out of India right now. And you're right that you get to explore more. Like, now next season, I'll be able to kind of find out about what happened between Binny, Ashutosh, and Rumi. Like those scenes, you don't see that in a film.
Yeah, truly, truly, truly. I mean, you get a chance to explore everything that you can.
Exactly.
And it's always about the experience. I mean, you get a good script, you get good collaborators, good director, good producer, everyone. It's a very enriching experience. I mean, OTT gives you that.
And
Yeah.
I found actually, for Crash Course, actually I found like the cinematography was so strong, so many clever scenes, like the way that they've been shot. So
Hmm.
like Nagrajji, I think has done a fabulous job, like just at everything, especially the night scenes. I love those night scenes where you see the neon lights, and then and also like different scenes like where like they're all floating, and then you see under the clock.
It's an amazing. I love it.
It's so random, but I love it.
But this is what happens.
Yeah, I think that the like cinematography, like what you're seeing basically was so strong, like in Crash Course. And that was actually one of the strong points I found, like for because on OTT, like you're used to saying like the good story, good performances, but for Crash Course, it was in addition you had this cinematography, which is so much like it was almost like a world cinema type of film, like cinema, like it was filmed like that, I would say.
Yeah, it's very good. In every person who has worked, I mean, you work on some sets, and it's like everybody is just good at their job. Everything just falls into place. And with the Nag sir and Mani sir, I mean, it was like they were not even present. I would not even feel their presence. Like
Hmm.
they're just behind me or just beside me on the camera and holding and I wouldn't feel that that person is there. I
Hmm.
mean, that kind of, they really want to capture you, and they're there with you. I mean, it's amazing. It was amazing. I love them. They're very sweet people.
Yeah, I think, and it shows as well. Like the whole Crash Course, I think, like off screen, you see it as well. Like everyone's so humble. Like the
Yeah.
Crash Course team, like even Raina ji, and they're all like they're so lovely, such
Yeah.
lovely people actually. So, but actually, speaking of another show that you did, Jamtara, I love Jamtara. Even like season two, I think season two was even more like
Yeah.
that sort of
Yeah.
real and more gritty, and I loved it. I love season two actually even more than season one.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So what was your experience like working with Dibyenduji? Because he's just like a master of his craft.
Oh, truly, truly a master. Truly, and a very, very down to earth, very humble person.
Yeah.
And like we call him Dada Dada,
Yeah.
Debu Da, because he's a Bengali.
Yeah. That.
And yeah, and he's just I mean, the one thing that I learned from him was just being. He just he does so little,
Hmm.
but he's convincing. When you watch him on screen, and he can create a scene out of just nowhere. He can start having a conversation, and it's very, very natural, very organic, very normal. I mean, at that time, I was still starting out.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in front of the camera that much, so in a way, that was Jamtara was a great learning experience for me, and especially because of Debuda that you mentioned. I realized that it's so important to just be, and he's just a very cool person. I mean, he's chill. He's chill.
Yeah, he seems really, really fun, like to be around. I know he probably like looks like such a lovely guy to be around.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I mean, offset also we have such great chemistry. All of us, Dolly Sahu, matlab Aksha Pardesai,
Yeah,
Aksha.
yeah.
We all have this, we continuously keep joking with each other, especially Debuda and Aksha. Debuda pulls Aksha's leg a lot, and it's like a family sort of situation.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I loved actually the thing I loved about Jamtara was actually like even like season two. This the reason why I love season two so much was because like the scams became more complex, and then actually Saurav is like very vital to kind of like solving that big case at the end. So
yeah,
it was like, and I
yeah.
love like some of the cinematography, the scenes, like the tree full of phones. I was like, wow, how do you think of this stuff?
That's actually a true story. That is actually what they do. They hang their mobile phones with the Sims at a tree, and they actually they researched it, they actually went there and saw this tree, massive tree with n amount of cell phones just hanging there.
Wow, oh my God, I would love to see
I
that.
mean, because I played Saurav, so Saurav was the only guy who knows about this, the crime that this happens. He knows the ins and outs. So I was sent the research material about it.
Mhm.
What
Oh,
they, yeah. So I think me and Sunny, and Sunny is supposed to be the smart one that side. So we were both sent the research material, and I mean the kind of things that I read. I mean, these people are just super, super, super smart, super smart. I
I
mean,
was shocked. Like this happens. Like whoa. Like
they're outrunning the system, like you know
I didn't know that was a true story, the tree thing. But I was like, wow. Like even like yeah, season two, and I really loved like the introduction of Rinku. Ravi, I think has done such a great job. Like just not being in season one, but adding so much in season two.
Truly, he's a terrific actor. Yeah, I mean, he was also very good introduction. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it just tends to give you an idea about the kind of space these people are coming from. They don't have the money. First of all, they don't have an education, and it's that thing that draws them to do this kind of stuff. So it's, I think, a drawback of our system, or whatever you can say. That's
Mhm.
responsible. It's a great show in that regard. To show you the reality of the world.
Exactly. Like for me, I love it. Like I love these sort of shows actually that are set in like these deserted landscapes almost. This is
Yeah.
so different to see. Like even like the when you see Jamtara, like I've never been to a place like Jamtara, but I'm watching it through Netflix.
Hmm.
And I'm being transported to Jamtara for that time. What's your favorite thing about acting? Like the whole like process when you act. Like what's your favorite thing about it?
Uh, I mean, to get a relief from our lives.
Mhm.
uh, I mean, it's my way of expressing myself. I actually think about that question a lot. I mean, why do I act? But I have never gotten a real answer from myself. Also, I love it. It's a way of expressing myself, and but the kind of lives that you can live, it makes you so human. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like, for me, acting is about what it means to be human, and the more I can, it has made me a better person, I feel. Acting has, and experiencing that life, because you can't, I mean, it's a blessing to be able to experience some other person's life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there are things that you can't do in real life for which you will be arrested or
Yeah,
killed or
yeah,
but acting you can do anything. I mean when you do it for a longer time,
yeah,
I mean you just it becomes your second nature sort of, you know. Sometimes you the stories that you know you what you have grown up watching and the stories that have moved you and the stories that need to be told, you know, like I'm very fortunate enough that I've been able to do Jamtara and Crash Course in the sense that they are not just fiction, you know, they
yeah,
are real stories, and a story is being made on that subject, but that subject is equally real. I mean, I think many people who reached out to me, they are students, and they would say that they have seen Binni, people like Binni. I've gotten a lot of messages from people who are studying in Kota, who have lived in Kota and studied there, and they would say things like it's true, you know. And even the older people, even from my family, they're like, "Oh, what is this?" So I mean, I'm just glad that I'm able to be a part of this story somehow that actually is, even, even if it can't, you know, bring about a change or anything, it can start a conversation, and
yeah.
anybody can be inspired by it in any way, you know. Then it's like, it's a great thing, you know, for me.
Hmm. And I
Yeah.
think it was, yeah, it's true. Like I read as well, like lots of people were inspired by Crash Course because usually when you see the hostel shows, they're more comedy, like the ones that that came out before. Crash
Yeah,
Course had basically everything. It's trying to make a difference. You can tell, like you can
truly,
tell. And
truly, truly.
I genuinely hope it does make a difference because like it's so like even like at the end when Anil says to Binny कि हम में से तो कोई भी हो सकता था, like it's
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, I mean, like parents should also get a lesson from all of this. You know, to I mean, I have been there's a very interesting story. I There, like Kota, there is this place called Kakadev in Kanpur, from
okay,
where I come,
yeah,
and that's a coaching mandi.
mm-hmm.
And my whole, I mean, from where I come from, the school that I have studied in, everybody goes to engineering or something like that, mostly 90% of them.
Yeah,
So I was also one of the unfortunate ones who went to study in Kakadev. So I've seen that coaching mandi, I've seen 200, 250 people in the class, and I've sat there. I'm not being able to understand what the teacher is writing on the board, and what is this happening, what are they consuming, writing down.
yeah,
And I mean, it's just, and just to crack one paper, IIT, and it's just because, I mean, it's reputed and everything, it's fine, but it'll give you a good career, you know. That's all that matters to anyone, you know. And it's a reputed thing, you'll have a good name in society and everything. It's just that, I mean, what the child wants to do, what he wants to do, or what he doesn't want to do, nobody cares about that.
yeah,
So I mean, I'm, after all these years, this project coming to me was like, I mean, life is a comes in a full circle. That's why, you know, people watched it, and they had a positive response. I mean, for the audiences that it was made for,
yeah,
they saw, and they really loved it, they really liked it. And my own I remember my they're really moved. I've seen my people from my own family also,
mm,
they're really moved by that when Vidhi dies. I mean, they're just blown away by that. Oh, and they start thinking that, oh, this could happen to my children also.
exactly. Yeah, that's so true. Like even that's like that high pressure cooker environment. You kind of like showed it so perfectly, and like the topper could basically do that, and like and like she's like oh she has so many like good things happening in her life, then suddenly when you see that sort of spiraling that like downwards that happens, and she finds out about her dadi, her AK sir, all those rumors, and then Anil and TP don't want to be her friend anymore, and then Binny's kind of ignoring her, saying oh both ziddi hai, and and so that sort of thing. So everyone had like a part to play, and makes you really feel like okay, yeah, when someone comes to you, maybe there's a
Yeah, we
yeah.
don't realize it very
Yeah.
lightly, and
Mm.
we think koi dikkat nahi hai, there's no problem, you're just thinking too much, or it's okay. We don't pay much attention to the I mean, I'm happy that for over the past years, this we are now sort of the conversation is happening on the mental well-being as well now.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's happening, and people are. It is taking time. It will take time, of course, but it sort of has started to take place.
Yeah.
But people still, I mean, Kota, the kind of city, people still commit so much suicides every year. I mean, it's just really sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. Like even here, like in England, like there's so much pressure as well. Like, but now actually people are addressing like the sort of the mental awareness, like the mental health of people. Because the students, yeah, like back like when I was a student, I was like thinking, yeah, there's such a high pressure environment, and then now students are actually being able to kind of talk about it more. But like when I'm 30 now, so when I was like a student, it wasn't so like talked about, and so now I'm starting to see like even here like people are kind of addressing it now for students, because there's been like yeah like when I did law, so basically when I did law, it was such a high pressure environment, so I completely understood, like it took me back to those sort of exam time, that exam like pressure that you used to have. And so that's why I resonated so much with Crash Course, because I had that like sort of high pressure environment as well. Like doing an exam every month, there would be some sort of final exam happening, and so I resonated in that way with Crash Course because of the sort of the student life of being
Yeah,
like constantly examined by like with different papers, and every month there's a new result you have to wait for. And so
yeah,
that's why I completely it really touched me actually, like the show. And so that's why I was so moved by it personally. So
that's amazing.
yeah, so on a final note, I wanted to ask you, you talked about theater, so how is that transition from going from theater now into like shows, because the screen language is slightly different.
I mean, it's totally different, not slightly.
Okay, okay, totally different.
Because in theater, you know what they say, that you should speak something. You have to project everything. Like the first thing is the dialogue. You have to project so that the last person in the last row, last seat can also hear your dialogue.
Have to hear, yeah.
So it's that you are taught when you enter theater. You are taught that. So I
Uh-huh.
mean, when I came to Mumbai, I mean that transition was very interesting because I used to go to set. I remember I was continuing with my theater. I used to go for rehearsals, and the next day I was going for a shoot. I think it was some ad or something. I don't know, but the director, I had to just say a dialogue when some other character just walks away, and to just mumble it to myself. And I said it so loud. The director said, "Arey, आराम से बोल. Why are you speaking so loud?" And I didn't realize it. There's a mic here. I didn't know about these things. You know that
Yeah,
you can speak to yourself and it will record at a very high decibel.
yeah. That's so
And,
funny.
and then the funnier part is this: when the next day I went back to the rehearsals and I'm speaking the dialogue, my teacher is telling me, "Speak loudly. Why are you speaking so softly?"
Oh,
So I
that's
think
so funny.
yeah, I think it took me a little while to understand that, but I have come to really love this medium more than that. I mean, theater is a complete art form in itself because an actor's it really opens up your imagination and your body language, your energy, your aura. I mean, theater is something that just amazing, but screen is just, I mean, it's looking in your eyes. You know, you just have to express everything through your eyes. It's very internal. It's
Yeah,
nothing. You can't just go away with a gesture or something. If you're not truthful and honest, the camera will catch you.
very
So
subtle as well, like the movement.
yes, yes, yeah. I mean, if it's a close up and you're moving your head like that, it will just seem very odd in
Yeah,
that. So you have to learn these things, you know, that you have the stillness, how you have to behave in the wide and maybe in a mid, and then in a close up you don't have to move at all.
yeah. Actually,
Camera.
one of the scenes I really loved of yours was when Binny's talking to AK sir on the roof. Do you know when after they have that fight, that
Yeah,
huge
yeah, yeah,
fight they have? That
yeah.
scene I really loved of yours. I think it was one of your finest scenes, like personally for me. Like I thought it was like one of the best scenes. Like, and you saw that like internalized in those emotions. I could see like the emotions through your eyes alone.
Truly, truly. Yeah, I'm so glad. Thank you.
Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite scenes. Actually, it was just that it was still and like yeah, you're right. Like even with the AK Sir Pranay has done such a fabulous job as well. Like both of you together, I was like, I need to see these two actually more in season two. I hope that there's going to be like some scenes with you two like in the past because that would be amazing.
I mean, Pran and I became this quickly became friends on set. I mean, when the first time we met, we started chilling, hanging out, and I remember we didn't have this serious scene come along. We had some interactions on and off set, but really light scenes that we did. But when we finally came to this scene, and I remember he came to my vanity, or I went to his, and he was just let us rehearse the lines, and I'll tell you, we rehearsed the lines, and we just burst out laughing. And I thought, what will happen to this scene? I mean, this is supposed to be so serious, but when we were on set, i mean you just one person takes off and you just follow them, it's
Yeah.
that. So Pranay was in his space and I was completely in my
You're working
space.
off each other now, and then so he's
Yeah,
there, you're working on like yeah, that's so true. Like I saw that like in that scene when you did that, like when he walks, like literally like that fight before as well. It was so intense, and then suddenly you see like when they kind of cool down and they're kind of
yeah,
talking about like what's happened and they're processing everything, and
yes.
it's so important actually. I found that dynamic between AK Sir and I keep calling him AK Sir like he's my teacher, but like I don't know why I just keep calling him AK Sir. I don't want to call him by his first name because I feel like oh he's a teacher, he's a sir, and so I always call him AK Sir like he's my
I
teacher.
just imagine that much justice he has done to his part. You
I don't
he's
like
just,
calling him by his first name. I think like, oh, I'm being rude or something because he's a teacher. And but that's so true. Like yeah, and even Banu, I absolutely love Banu as well. Like your scenes with Banu on that snooker table scene.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. That was that was again, I mean, we both came in on the set. We approached that scene, we both approached that scene that they don't like each other.
Yeah, yeah.
We both approached that scene like that and we were behaving like. Then Vijay sir came in and he said, smile at each other, or you don't like each other or what?
Yeah.
And we were like, so we approached it like that they, because they're just competitors and everything, and he doesn't have one person that he works for, Benny, and here is this person. So they will be at odds with each other, some sort of, there will be a coldness. But Vijay sir asked us to just approach that scene with all the love and warmth. And then when he does something, so it was very. He came after. I think it was not coming after second or third take. He came in and he said, "You don't like each other or what? Just be friendly with each other. What is wrong with you both?"
But it was so yeah, no, I found that scene like really like oh my god, like the way he's like they start off friendly. Yeah, you're right. They in the beginning as well, like in this scene they start off like really friendly, and then suddenly when he says like insults Binny, oh, and it's like yeah, you see that intensity. Like Binny walks off, he puts very calmly puts the stick down and just walks away. I thought that was amazing. Actually, Banu is the first person who told me about Crash Course because I was talking to Banu like in December 2021, and he told me he's filming Crash Course and it's an amazing show that's going to be coming out. And he's the first person who mentioned Crash Course to me, so I knew I was aware of this show, and I was so happy when it came out because it was just as good as I had imagined. Actually, one of the finest series, I would say. It was like for me, like out of the year. What roles are you now looking to be a part of?
I have the upcoming show for Hotstar. It's directed by Homi Jania.
Mhm.
Uh, and we have great actors like Dimple Kapadia in it. We have Deepak Dorial. We have Radhika Madan, Isha Talwar, and of course, great director Homi Jania. That is also one crazy project that I did last year. So it's gonna come soon. So I'm waiting for that to come out. Apart from that, did a film with Rahul Dulakia sir, who has directed Rais with Shah
Yeah,
Rukh Khan sir.
yeah,
So his I and we have Pratik Gandhi, uh,
wow,
Debendu,
yeah.
Debendu that, and we have Sayami. So That's a firefighters. It's based on firefighters basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that is also supposed to come, I think, this year, later this year. So
Mm-hmm.
these are the that I've lined up. But for that homie show, I mean, it's just amazing. It's, I mean, one of the uh, uh, best roles that I've done and best experiences I've had.
Mm.
And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that.
I
Yeah.
think well, I can't wait to see you in it actually because I know you're such a great actor. Like honestly, I think Binny Agarwal was like one of my favorite characters because of that arc, because of that because you see, yeah, so because there's so many layers to him. Exactly, like it was so well written. And also well performed, and so I actually that's why I was so like happy to like I have to talk to Binny because and you know I have to tell you a funny story. My mum, she watched Crash Course just like from episode 9, and it was like the worst episode to walk into for her. She walked in on the Vidhi scene basically, and now she refuses to call you by your name. She now calls you Binny. So she doesn't call you Udit at all. She has to call you Binny. Like I tell her so many times, his real name is Udit, not Binny.
I guess I have a better role than that, so that she calls me by this other name now.
Yeah, so
You know,
she's like, I told her, like, and so she's like, okay, aaj Binny ke saath hai interview, and I was like, Binny bhi udit, and so
but
yeah,
I feel it's lovely when you. I mean, I feel like I've done justice to the part. You know, when you feel like people can call you with that name, they're easy. You know, to
yeah,
I like that because I feel like I've done justice to the part. You know,
you did.
thank you so much.
But thank you so much. This has been so fun talking about like acting, Crash Course, Jamtara, so many things. So yeah, and I wish you actually all the best for your future work.
When it comes out, I'll would again we can have a conversation about it. Definitely.
That would be amazing. So, but thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.